I would presume.
Wait, I mean, you just made an absolutely ridiculous statement, so
good.
I have to pause a little bit here because I'm sort of
That's fine,
grasping
you make
this.
a ridiculous statement and
Well,
I'll be
according
able
to
to
you,
do the same thing, yeah.
According to you, I think you're awarding a sort of prize to science based upon a stacked deck. You're defining scientific truth as somehow superior, and you're declaring that on that basis, arguing inside the bubble of science, science comes out first prize. And according to you, philosophy, because it's dealing with enduring human, you may say, eternal questions like what is good, what is right, how do you tell right from wrong, not to mention questions like how do we know what we know.
That's the one I went with.
Yeah, or to pursue, here's Immanuel Kant. You asked who went past Hume. I would say Kant did. You ask questions like, when I look at something in space,
okay.
Is the space in the world, or is the space a mode of my perception? Is time something out there in the world? Just think about it. Time is this thing, this object with no weight.
Time isn't an object.
Well,
time is an abstraction.
Is an abstraction. And abstractions, by and large, live in our mind.
Yes.
So Kant's point is that space and time are dimensions of they are things that the mind brings to experience. They are not something out there in the world. Now, I'm not trying to resolve that issue. Okay, I don't think either of us is going to top Kant on this one in the next 30 seconds. All I'm trying to say is that to argue that this kind of a question is somehow either settled or unimportant because there is no way of sort of addressing it in a scientific sense, I think reflects a certain narrowness of perspective about the wide range of human knowledge, the wide range of disciplines, from history to psychology.
If I had said anything remotely like that, but I didn't.
Well, you gave a little kind of science comes first, and that's what I was responding to.
Science is the most consistently reliable method of accurately understanding the universe. The cosmos, the natural world.
The natural world, perfect, exact. But we live in a world where, we are in a natural world to be sure, right? But we are anomalous objects in that natural world, right? First of all, we are conscious of our own existence. We are conscious that here we are in the world, observing the world. Okay. That makes us different from most of the world. True?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I can tell.
Yeah, and as far as we can tell, even in the living world and in the animal kingdom, we are anomalous in that we not only have consciousness, but we have self-consciousness. True?
Some of us.
Okay. Okay, and to push it further, coming back a little bit to Kant here as well, Kant says, I'm amazed by the starry heavens, and then I'm equally amazed by the moral law within me. So now we come to another thing which is worth mentioning, which is, well, Adam Smith's phrase for it was the impartial spectator, which is, to quote Adam Smith, there is this man within the breast, sort of another guy, as Smith envisioned him, inside of us that is clearly not us, because this guy, let's call him a guy, is a bit of a nuisance. This guy...
How did we reach the conclusion that it's not us? First of all, I'm not going to concede that there's
why.
a man in here or that he's not me.
Well, no, but the only point I'm trying to make in a roundabout way is that as humans, we are inherently moral beings. Morality is part of the equipment of being human, and in fact, it's a necessary part. In our criminal law, for example, if somebody is considered not to know the difference between right and wrong, we don't even hold them accountable for their actions. Which is to say, we consider morality...
That's not true.
That's not true?
Yeah.
If somebody, let's say, for example, some guy is so insane that he thinks he's Napoleon, and he goes out and kills somebody else.
We still hold them responsible for their actions. We just have graduated to a point where we are killing fewer people who are of diminished mental capacity, thankfully. But we are also committing people to institutions for their own benefits. But it's not like you just walk in and say, blameless.
Well, John Hinckley was in an institution for shooting the President of the United States, and he's out. So he was.
Is he better? Has he shot anybody else?
He hasn't shot anybody else, but my point is he was held not responsible for that act in a criminal sense.
That is a technical definition within the law. He was still held responsible.
No, okay,
it's not
but
like we let him get away with it.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if somebody has no moral comprehension whatsoever, we basically call them a psychopath or a sociopath. And all I'm trying to say is that that's a way of saying that you are outside the human community because the normal moral equipment that the rest of us have that comes into play.
So just for clarity, you're suggesting that those individuals, and I would stay away from diagnostic terms normally, but psychopaths, sociopaths, they don't have that inner man. That
I'm saying if society makes a determination that someone is, in a sense, a psychopath or a sociopath, they are considered, in a sense, outside the normal moral community of human beings, not accountable to the same.
So for clarity, we start off with this, we all have this, and now we've identified a group of people who don't have it.
And I'm saying that those people who don't have it, or at least have somehow, I'm not saying they weren't born with it. I'm saying I agree. I do think that our moral equipment, like our other equipment, can be damaged. It can be destroyed. It can be squelched. It can be brutalized. So yeah, let's assume that there's somebody who's gone through whatever experiences that have caused them to be morally anesthetized.
Okay.
And so, for example, they could bring in a little dog right here and joyfully stomp on it as the audience gasps in horror. Or if you want a more mixed reaction, a cat. The point I'm trying to make, however, is that...
Sorry, Beth.
The point I'm trying to make is just this, that we, in trying to understand the cosmos, we don't just understand the physical world, which is the domain of science, I agree.
Sure.
But I'm saying we have to understand ourselves.
I couldn't agree more that we should understand ourselves, and I think that one of the biggest problems is that there are a number of assumptions. The biggest problem humans make is probably asking the wrong questions, like, what's the purpose of my life? As if it was externally imposed and extant as a real thing that you could discover, rather than I make my own meaning and purpose in life. But when we're talking about this moral being, I would presume...
Wait, I mean, you just made an absolutely ridiculous statement, so
good.
I have to pause a little bit here because I'm sort of
That's fine,
grasping
you make
this.
a ridiculous statement,
well,
and I'll be able
to
to
you,
do the same thing, yeah.
According to you, we don't have a life purpose. I mean, let's think about it. First of all, almost all of us are in some sense trying to discover what the purpose of our life is, right? And there are huge industries devoted to this. There are talk shows devoted to this. It's a quest that just about all of us, probably most of us in the audience, are on. And you're declaring at the outset that it is a quest, according to you, that has no answer, or at least has no external answer.
No, it is a quest that I don't see any reason to think that there is an externally imposed purpose. The fact that you might desire there to be a God, a divine, or a universe-imposed purpose doesn't mean there is one. The fact that humans quest for things doesn't mean that the answer is there, or doesn't mean that the answer they hope for is there.
Of course not. So no one is saying that the wish to have a purpose is enough. No, I'm not even saying that the universe is somehow...
What is our purpose?
Well, I would say this, that I think in life, we are always asking this question. Am I, Dinesh, living the best life that I can live? In other words, is the life I'm living now somehow off track? Inauthentic? Is there, when I say something, there's me saying it, but is there a better me that would have said something different? In other words...
I agree.
Okay, so, in other words, my quest to find not only the choices I make, but the choices I ought to make is completely valid. True? So
there's a contextual thing. This is where we got with the labels and how we end up looking at this.
Yeah.
My view is that my life has whatever meaning and purpose I give it.
Okay.
The notion that I should be looking for some externally imposed purpose is not only do I not have a good reason to think that there is such a purpose or that there would be or could be.
And you're saying, but whatever answer you give to that question of let's take, what is the purpose of Matt's life? And you're saying whatever answer you give is valid.
Yes, because if in fact there is some God who has a purpose for my life, I don't care what he thinks the purpose of my life should be. My life is mine.
Okay, let's explore that. Let's just say that you were to come here and announce to this audience, the purpose of my life, Matt, is to, and I realize this is a difficult example, I was going to say to count the hairs on my head. This doesn't really work in your case.
There are hairs here on my head.
Right, there you go.
This counts as my head.
There you go, there you go. Okay, but you said, that's what I live for. Every day I wake up and I spend a few hours a day, at least at the time I'm not working or eating, counting the hairs on my beard.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I would submit that everybody here would say, Matt, you know what? I don't think you're living your best life, pal. You know, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, but it's kind of pointless.